Processes reduce pressure.
My guest today thought she was going to be a musician. Then she literally ran into a journalism professor in the college hallway, papers flying everywhere, and her whole path changed forever.
People forget, and business owners forget, your story, the story that is so compelling about your business, it sets up your culture. It inspires and can get buy-in from employees, partners, potential clients. That story is everything.
Welcome to Process Over Pressure, the show for founders and operators who are building something real and need permission to believe it matters. I'm Chad Paris. My guest today thought she was going to be a musician. Then she literally ran into a journalism professor in the college hallway, papers flying everywhere, and her whole path changed forever. She became a journalist, then built one of the most respected boutique PR and storytelling agencies in the entire country. She has put startups on the cover of Wall Street Journal and USA Today. She's wrote the book on PR for small business twice, and she's been doing her own way for almost 26 years. Jennifer Fortney, welcome to Process Over Pressure.
Hi, Chad. Thanks for having me on. Great intro.
Thank you. Glad to have you on. So there you were, and you run into your professor, and then life as you know it changed. Take us back there.
Yeah, it's funny. You were saying that, and it was actually on campus. We were outside, literally outside of the School of Journalism. I was walking with a friend, and you're talking like this and not looking. I mean, today people are, walk like this, but I was looking at my friend, chatting with her, and just, boom. And I said, oh my gosh, and we were helping him pick up the papers. And he said, he looked at me, he said, you have a really great voice. And I said, well, thanks. I'm a singer in the School of Music. And he said, well, maybe you should look at news. I think you've got a voice for news. Maybe come check out a class. So unfortunately, I was a little bit bored in the School of Music I've been studying it my whole life, but you're in classes with people who've never studied it. And so it was hard to keep me interested. So I'm taking classes like philosophy and calculus and psychology. I thought, well, you know what? Maybe next semester I'll explore it. So I took an intro class, and I really liked it. I thought this feels like an interesting pathway for me.
That's really cool. And I mean, you grew up in singing and being in music, doing music most of your early life, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, today with competitions and opportunities for people to be discovered, so to speak, it's sort of my sliding doors moment. If you know that movie, you always kind of end up where you're supposed to be. I do miss it. I miss performing. I try to sing wherever I can. I've sung in professional choirs and churches. People hire me for weddings still.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you still do that, if you still sing now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I haven't been doing as much solo work as I would like, but I feel like my soul is crying out for it. Even trying to get involved with theater locally, it just doesn't drive so much when you run an agency.
Yeah. Does it, do you feel like, do you look at the music like, is that a hobby now for you? Do you consider it a hobby or really not?
Yeah. I mean, now it is. I'm not getting paid to do it anymore. So before even through college and even in the city in Chicago, I had some paying gigs. It was, it was nice, but I tried to join a band. I'm sorry, you can't be in this band because you're just not committed. And I was like, yes. You're right. I'm committed to getting paid by my full-time job, right? Yeah. So I think if I ever retire, I'd probably try to figure a better outlet for it.
I think it's fascinating because, to be a musician, I'm not a musician. I would absolutely make people cry if I sang. Love to sing, but I kind of like to take my own take on it. I mean, you have to be very creative, and you run a very, very well PR firm. Do you think some of that nature or that, I guess, that gift that you have as far as the creative side is part of what helps you do really well or help your clients really well on the PR side?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Nobody's asked me before. I do. When you're singing and performing there, and even when you're just thinking about a piece you're singing or a show you're in, the character and you're imagining it and you're building it. So it really trains your mind to look at something and then automatically start building on it, which is good and bad. So if I'm in a conversation with a client, sometimes I have to say, I'm so sorry, my brain is going. I need to let my mouth catch up. what that picture looks like.
I would think that that would be a great advantage and probably part of why you've been very successful. When in PR, I mean, it's a story, right? I mean, your brand, if you're doing it for a person or a company or whatever, I mean, that's what you're doing. So I would say that would be something that your clients probably actually kind of a reward to have someone like yourself doing that because you can tell a story. I mean, music is a story. We're telling a story.
Yeah, you're bringing up such great points I've never even thought about for myself is, when you're singing a song or an aria, you really have to convey that emotion of that song. So, yeah, I would say there are bigger pieces of work that I have sung in that maybe don't have that component as much, but singing is a full body sport, right? And that work ethic that goes into being a musician or a singer full time, like I was for a long time, has benefited me a
Yeah.
lot, a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I just talking to you and kind of seeing the similarities, like I could see where that really helps to fine tune, especially when you talk to people and that are maybe they're a business owner or people that don't have that creativity, right? They're very passionate about their business, like they know it, like they know exactly what they do very well. But if they were to get on a mic and talk about their business, they would come across a little maybe boring. Not because the company's boring or what they do is boring, but that's not the way their mind works. And so having someone like you to be able to take the fiber of who they are or what they're trying to be or what they're trying to convey and be able to articulate that in a way of a story is more appealing to people because people don't buy they buy excitement. That's why when you look at musicians, like why do we go to these musicians? Because we love the stories that they tell. We love the songs. They resonate with us. They make us exciting. Very useful.
Yeah. I mean, listen, most of marketing is about creating an emotional connection, just like music does, right? And, when I would perform, I just, I don't want to say I hated it, but I was uncomfortable walking out and having people say, "Oh, you did such a good job," because I really wanted to just be an instrument, right? I wanted to just be an instrument for them to enjoy. And in marketing, I kind of get to still be behind the scenes, right? And let other people take the glory. But my job is really to help direct them to understand what their brand story is. A lot of founders, CEOs, business owners will say, well, this is what we do, or this is our product with the features and benefits. And they equate that to being their story. Or moreover, they might say, this is what we want to be instead of who are we today? And then building on that, right? Like understanding what that vision is, but helping them understand what is your story today and let's see how it will evolve. We get people will say, this is our news story, blah, blah, blah. We want you to put it out. And I'm going, eek. No, this is just one of those boring CE or corporate press releases that's put out that nobody pays attention to. And so the way that we write is from the journalistic standpoint where we're actually writing the story. We make it compelling and interesting. We lead in with compelling, interesting points that give a reason for this company's existence or a reason for that announcement. All right, I'll give you an example. So, in one of my score classes, I had a gal, she had an invention. It was for the car. And her idea was it'll just make eating in the car easier. And so she sent me her press release and I ripped it apart and I rewrote it and I sent it back to her. And it led with 85% of car accidents are caused by eating in the car, right? So now we've set up the foundation as to why she created the product.
Yeah.
She just couldn't package it that way.
I think this is a brilliant spot that you're talking about right here. From where I stand when consulting business owners, this is prevalent not just in their PR side or their marketing side. This is very, very, very prevalent in their overall company.
Absolutely.
I always very cautious because I meet a lot of great business owners, and you do too, that have man, they're smart. They've created like amazing products, or they're leading a great company, and so when I say that, it's not because they're not very good at their job. It's the fact that their mind may not work in a way. As a business owner, you kind of get blinders sometimes, and you're focused on what's happening. And then this press release is a great example. This is what I do. I built this, and she's speaking out of a lens of mechanical, like I built it for this. This is well. That's not a story that really resonates for the people. That's the consumer that's out there going, well, why would I want this? But when you lead, so eloquently like you did with problem, solution, it resonates, right? It's a different hit, it's a different impact on pizza. And I think there's a lot of companies that get stagnant that I see, and they wonder like why are we not growing, why are we not moving? And most often it's because of who they are, where they want to be, and the message they're getting out is two different things.
Absolutely. In fact, one of the things I ask clients right off the bat when we're fleshing out story through onboarding is tell me your whys.
Yeah, it's good.
Why did you start the company? Why did you create the product? Why do you think people will care? Because as a journalist, right, these are the questions I'm going to ask you. These are the questions that media are going to ask or want to know before they even consider looking at it. So if you're not giving them your whys, then you're not going to go anywhere and you're just spending money on marketing or PR, a press release that is not going to do anything for you. And I think one of the most important things I've been speaking on this quite a bit. What I speak about is the impact of storytelling on your business and your culture. People forget and business owners forget your story, the story that is so compelling about your business. It sets up your culture. It inspires and can get buy-in from employees, partners, potential clients. That story is everything. Your sales team, it's what your sales team goes out and brags about, talks about. It is the cornerstone today of everything. And the reason is because we're in a website world and you have to tell also that compelling story on your website. And people have expectations. So if you're B2B or B2C, doesn't matter. People still have an expectation of what they want a website to look like, be like. How does it resonate with you? And so that story, how do you tell it? Is it the same you were telling on social media in the media, right? That connection is really important. And so for us, it's key. It was key for me to change our model to address those things so that we understood if we're telling this story in media, we need to tell this story on the website because honestly, I got tired of clients calling me and saying, hey, thanks for all the great PR, but we didn't sell enough on the website to pay you. So I really thought, okay, look, I have to look at the whole consumer or customer journey, right? Of discovery. So you've got discovery and then the website's in the center. If I don't address these things and make sure that the message is consistent and integrated consistent, then the whole program fails.
I mean, we could sit here and talk about this for the next about 2 hours because you're absolutely 100% correct. And um, I will tell you, like having these conversations, you and I, we work in these multiple different companies. And so we get to see a lot of kind of under the hood, what I call certain situations. Well, it helps us, right? Because we get to look at what's not working. The more eyes you have on these different things, the better you can describe the problem and help people. I think the value is in being able to see all these different things that are happening. And I speak on this too, and I love what you said because it's not just in the marketing, it's in all of it. Like very often I hear you know most all companies have a marketing department, right? They do. And if you don't have a marketing department, you've got it outsourced or you're using someone. And then you have like your sales or your revenue stream, which however you're selling it, however it's coming in, whether it be online or whatever. And I see this all the time is business owners have, if you go and look at all these different places where they're talking about their company or they're feeding this to the audience, it's convoluted. It's not a unified message. And I bet you see it. Number one problems that I see across companies is the message is it's spotty. Maybe this website's where they started and now they use Instagram 6 years later, and that's teaching a different message than Instagram. And so all these are all over the place. And so when people look, they really don't know what you do. I have no idea. It's mixed signals and it's very common.
Yeah, it's very common and that it's psychological for your customer, right? They may they may notice some sort of disappointment. So if they see a great story and then they go to the website and they go, well, that doesn't look credible. So we've earned the trust and credibility through the media story. But when they go to the website, it doesn't resonate. Now they're just going to bounce and they're going to go somewhere else. And they may say, oh, this is a great product. I bet there's another one on Amazon. Or I bet there's another vendor, right? Or another company that does this. And so that they're immediately going to beeline it for somebody else that gives them a better brand story experience.
Yeah. The consumer today whether that's a B2B or a B2C, they're still a consumer. They're still buying something, right? Whether you're selling the business, whatever. The attention span and the ability to research products today is like none other. We're living in a time right now where if I see something that I like on Instagram, you're right. I can go search that and maybe 25 others out there. Like that's the power that we have in our hands today than we did 20 years ago. And but we have a lot of businesses that are still operating in the mindset it was 20 years ago. And then they wonder why they're struggling and they wonder why they're not moving or because it's so fast paced. And if you don't have a dedicated team, whether that be inside or outside, someone like yourself that's constantly looking at the new trends and what's happening and developing those, you in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks, you can be behind.
Gosh, I mean, just look at where we've evolved with search. Majority of people are doing searches in LLMs, but even those are tainted, right? Because the LLM, people don't think about this. It right now, it may not be a pure search because if you're in your ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini on a regular basis, it's learning about you. So a lot of the results that you're going to get back may be skewed. It's not going to be as pure. People need to turn on search within their LLM to actually bring more rich results. And most people don't know that they need to do that.
So there was when we were talking, I wrote this note down. I'm looking at it. PR can't stand alone is kind of what I called it. And I thought that was very interesting when you said that, and I love that. The note that I had is the Oprah story, and kind of talking about that. And I think it was the Cascade 360 origin. Push for the real story, the fashion line that landed on Oprah Shape, and they could not fulfill the orders. That little part. Could we talk a little bit about that?
Things.
Yeah.
So for them, they were only investing in PR. Well, we can divide the other one up, but for them, it was really about preparation. And so I talk to my clients all the time and I say, if we do this, are you prepared? How are you going to staff? Or how are you going to fill orders? Have you talked to your vendors, your partners, all of the things? Because I knew as soon as Shape Magazine was the first one to say yes, boy, oh boy. And they just boom, 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 boom. I couldn't get them on the phone for 5 months because they didn't actually believe me when I said, you better be ready and you better tell your vendors, we may be making emergency orders, be prepared. They didn't do that. It was $1 million company within 4, 5, 6 months, multi-million-dollar company. Ultimately, they shut it down because it was too big or too stressful or whatever it is. And that's such a loss. An inspirational clothing and home lifestyle brand before its time, ahead of its time. And it probably inspired a lot of other companies that came after it. But because they weren't prepared, I mean, they could have $100 million company right now, right? But
I think about, you know, single entrepreneurs, people who are brilliant, they built something, they have something, and they step into that world of, okay, we want this thing to grow. And most common thought process is, well, I've got something really good. I just want to start seeing the revenue come in. Because
oh yeah,
nobody wants to work for free. I mean, I get that, right? And we do. So we go from, like, we spend our day, just speaking freely here, entrepreneur, we spend our day figuring out how can we start getting revenue. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that's wrong, but what we often neglect is what I call the middle, where something will take off, and the next thing you know, you have fulfillment orders, or you have clients calling and knocking your door down, and you can't get to all of it because the process in the middle is broken or never developed or are not in place. And you have to walk away from jobs, or you don't do a really good job fulfilling them, which is going to be a bad review. You're not going to keep that same consistency.
hmm
Happens all the time.
and you'll always be chasing clients at that point. Even for myself, I mean, I experienced unexpected growth during COVID, and the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program was very helpful. I knew exactly what I needed to do to support that growth. And so I immediately spent my time doing processes, identifying what my needs are, right, for growth. How do I support this growth? And I need to address it now to build that foundation, then get stuck in it later and be overwhelmed. And so even for me, those processes have been super incredible and important to my growth and Cascade's growth.
I'd like to talk to new entrepreneurs about a process. I'd love to know your thoughts on, people that are they're starting out. What kind of advice would you give?
Well, I think I just gave you a cautionary tale, right? And I do use that one quite a bit. because instead of just giving the advice, I'm setting up a story that is a true story and there's emotion in it because you can see every entrepreneur go, she's right. It could have been $100 million company if they had just prepared and had those processes put into place. And they had months to think about it. Back then, with a magazine, you had 6 months to prepare for these things to come out. So they had the time, they just didn't do it. And I think some people will say, I know how to run my business. And I know, okay, I'm just giving the recommendation. But when I tell that story, you see light bulbs over everybody's head in that room.
So I'm going to stop you because you said something that is right on point. People say, "I know how to run my business." There is a sense of pride, and I get it. I'm just being real here. I see it all day. You do too, and you're absolutely right. You can run it. That's not what you're saying, nor do I say you can run it. But the problem is that if you don't, it goes back to the blinders. If you're not willing to stop and say, "Hey, I need someone to check my six here. Am I doing the right thing? Do I have some gaps? Do I have these things?" That's where you have to be willing to have people come in, not because here's the fear. Let's just be honest. The fear is that someone's going to go in and say, "You're failing at this, you're not doing this, you're not doing this." And then we start taking it internally and personal and saying, "Well, I'm a failure." That's not what we're saying. That's not what these people are saying. If you don't have people that will help you and look at that and go, "You have a deficiency right here," and you be able to accept that and go, "How do I fix it?"
Right. I mean, that I tell people all the time, if you think you want to be an entrepreneur, you better be really sure because it is an emotional journey. It requires vulnerability and you have to check your ego. You are not the smartest person in the room all the time. Great products, brought in a great team of people. We were all experts. I mean, she had somebody in logistics and somebody in manufacturing and me in marketing. And her downfall was she wanted to build the team, but she didn't want to listen to us.
Hmm.
So when I got them on the Today Show, we had about 6 weeks before they were going to be on. And I said, look, we really need to rework this website. This design is dead. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't capture people. There's no brand story. They said no. So we're watching in real time as it airs and they had 250,000 people come to the site and to buy. Over time, they had 1 million people come to the website and no one bought.
Wow.
So, so I felt at that point in time, right after that happened, I said, look, if I'm here as an expert, if you're not going to listen to me, help you because I'm doing it in your best interest, then I can no longer be of service to you.
And that's the reason why you bring someone like you in. I want people out there listening that I don't care if you're a small business, I don't care if you're starting out, you're doing $250,000. If you're not willing to have people come in, trust us that we're not there to mess your company up. We're bringing some experience and things that we've seen in best solutions. It's the place that you come from is to be helpful. Like I want your business to grow to 100. Like every one of these stories that you're talking about, your intentions was to do exactly what happened, to grow them to the biggest they can, and it did. Like you fulfilled your side, and you got to be willing to listen. And it's not just small entrepreneurs. Listen, I've worked with companies that are 150, $200 million that do the exact same thing. So this is a problem, not just with small companies. This is a problem with big companies too.
Yeah. I mean, that concept of bringing outside thinking feels scary. I want to remind people this is what I do. I am in the weeds every day on it. I am learning more and more. I'm staying top of trends that maybe your team doesn't stay on top of. I've had conversations with corporations where I have actually wowed them with honesty, right? Because I like to set expectations up front. If you think you're coming into this market or another market and you think you're just going to get all of this media coverage, well, guess what? Media has changed. And that is not the case anymore. This idea of paid, earned, and owned media for sure. And that combination works together. I mean, I was even talking to them about 85% of Gen Z get their news on social media platforms. So if that's where they're going, then you better start creating some videos that reflect this news story. We've done this before for a client where, I get to put on my journalism hat with like press on the side and I get to go and interview people for a story and they can put it on the social channel And so it feels like an authentic story. It really is a true story, right? It's just that the way that we're telling it feels a little bit more like not so much like marketing or an advertising. It builds more credibility. It's got more human interest to it. It really
Yeah.
captures people.
It's authentic. It's real. It resonates with people. That's so true. So one of the things I would love to do, could you tell people a little bit about exactly what you do?
I think that's a great idea because we skipped over the concept of PR is not enough. Right. So Cascade started as a traditional public relations agency, the whole package together. Started and integrated, went to PR, which has some integration, right? You might do events and you might now do social media. So it feels like it's more integrated than just the common perception of what public relations is. But from my standpoint, with the changes in media, the shift in consumer consumption of media and where they learn about things. Every demographic's different. You've got a generation that lives on Instagram. You've got another generation that lives on Facebook and another one, it kind of TikTok. And so we have to cover all of those from the standpoint of search and visibility, discovery, even, right? How do they discover you? If you're not finding people coming to your website as much, I literally changed my model, 10, 11 years ago. I didn't even know we were going to get to this point, but the model works for this time where we really address not just the PR, but we'll do the social strategy. We look at the website. So from a brand marketing or a brand story perception, we cover all of those bases. And for us, people don't get the newspaper at their door anymore. They're not getting magazines. So the idea of discovery has shifted and now it's shifting again with LLMs. And so we have to stay on top of those trends. We're tasked to guide our clients in either learning it, transitioning into it, or growing through. So yeah, PR is not enough, but what we offer, we're not super full service. We know what we do well: brand design, strategies, and website design, SEO. We're very dangerous. We have really trusted partners that we bring in who only do other things, whether it be video or digital advertising. I think being a super full service agency is too much, right? You can do a lot, but none of it well. And I really want to keep us, centered on our core.
Yeah, I love that. So those of you who are listening and you're like, well, she makes some great points. Let me just let her tell you just a couple of brands or couple of things that she's actually promoted that's gone on to be very successful.
Oh.
I'm giving her, this is her little brag time, just so you think, oh, you just got somebody on here that talks good, but she's got a little bit of, when she tells you a few of these names, you'll be like, oh, well, I've heard of that.
I launched the Apple Teeny. If you love the Apple Teeny, you're welcome. If you don't, I'm so sorry. But it went on at the time underground of Jim Beam was this kind of interest in mixology, right? So they're sort of like drink chefs, and they would work with chefs to create a drink that would partner with an appetizer. And you would really see these in the very high end restaurants, especially in Chicago. So when the Apple Teeny came out, it was almost as if it gave that whole concept and the burgeoning baby industry of mixology the approval to move forward. And then after that, all of these other companies started bringing out flavored vodkas and flavored this and flavored that, flavored, it launched two industries really.
Yeah, so if you're out there and you love like the vodka with the infused flavors and all that, you can thank this lady right here because that's where it started.
I mean, I'm not going to say it did it all, but once that drink showed up on Sex and the City, everything just went crazy.
Game over.
Game
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
There is a very successful franchise, wellness franchise, massage franchise. It probably gives it away. And they were launching all of their units here in Chicago area. It's tough when you're doing a lot of them and kind of opening. So we had to have one strategy just for the locations, just for their opening. And then we had to say, okay, how are we going to best use regional media to benefit everyone? And there was a lot of impatience. Like people wanted to be in it today. And we're like, you got to wait until these other 12 units, 15, give it some time. And once they actually saw the plan work, like play out and work, then I started getting messages. I understand. I know I understand. Thank you for being patient with us and, kind of dealing with our frustrations. because, again, they are business owners, high net worth individuals who decided to buy into a franchise. They don't know marketing, right? So that education along the way. Several of the owners did so well that they actually opened other locations. So I love that story. And then another one, gosh, I mean, there's so many. Another one is a former athlete, retired after a knee or an injury, but he was still working out. So he created a set of headphones that would not fall off your head. And he would do parkour in these videos. You would see him. And he's an NFLer. He doesn't know running a business or marketing. And so he was really looking to me and another gal he put us together on his team to help drive him forward. And so to be able to get him a face-to-face meeting at USA Today with a front page story, as well as an online video and so many other things, that was really satisfying for me because it's not a brand like we've worked with like SC Johnson or Red Bull. We've worked with really big brands. This was an entrepreneur who really wanted to see and start the next chapter in his life, and we could help him. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And that's what I love about, just getting to know you. Like you have a true passion to see companies grow and help people. I'm the same way. I love that.
You have to have something to fulfill you. And I think a lot of agencies, they just do the work, they show up, they do the work, they go home, they take the paycheck. But I really feel, and I love my team that I've been able to put together. We're very invested in doing it well and making sure that they are successful. That is the greatest gratitude, the greatest
Agreed.
moment for us that we can have.
Agreed. I love that. So I've got we got the rapid fire questions. These are going to be like 3 or 4 questions I'll pull out here that we'll do rapid fire. You just get to kind of answer them right off the bat. You don't get to think about it. Just go. Okay. You ready?
Yeah. Okay.
Rock, chalk, Jayhawk. Best thing about being a KU grad in one sentence.
Yeah, that's a hard one. In one sentence, maybe with commas. I mean, fantastic basketball, beautiful campus, friendships, and a fantastic education.
One book every entrepreneur should read.
Think and Grow Rich.
Chicago deep dish or real Parisian croissant.
Killing me. Well, I'll tell you, Giordano or Pequod's in Lincoln Park is better than all of them in Chicago. And there's only one location. There is nothing better than a great croissant. And I just discovered a perfect croissant in
Okay.
I will promote them.
What does process over pressure mean to you?
Processes reduce pressure.
Amen. Love it. Jennifer, thank you so much for being on the show today. What a great guest you've been. I really enjoyed it. As always, Chad Paris with Stonefly Consulting, process over pressure. Until next time.
Thanks, Chad.